So we are back at approval of minutes.
Also approve,
Second.
or motion, we approve.
Been moved and second to approve the minutes of May 6th. Without objection.
The agenda has an amendment. Before we continue, in old business, we're adding the mural discussion with Project Rising Tide, which has been mailed out regarding the murals that are being suggested as well.
We did that.
Yeah.
Okay,
We
good.
had
Okay.
public comment on agenda items, agenda-related items. Hearing none. New business, certificate of appropriateness permit amendment request. Ramsdale Theater, we have Xavier here to discuss that with us.
Thanks for your time. We attached a letter in your packets. I'm not sure if you got a chance to read that. There was a guideline under the Historic District Commission Code that allowed us to use a LED sign as long as it was a static image that didn't change under 900 seconds. That's 15 minutes. We were requesting under a city exemption, because it's a city-owned property, to see if we could be exempt from that rule. I don't think the purpose of it is so that we can abuse it and make it look like the casino's LED sign. I think, quite simply, we're just asking if we could change it, maybe after every 60 seconds or even 30. The image would still remain static, so it's not going to be dynamic or moving or flashing or, distracting to the drivers in any way. But after we timed it out, the traffic light changes every 30 seconds. So even if we had it under a 60-second rule, at worst, a driver might see it change twice. So that's the purpose of that request.
Is there any reason why you want it to be under the approval to be based on the fact that you're sort of a governmental entity?
Yeah,
Or why don't we just approve, or if the members agree, approve making it every 30 seconds?
that'd be great.
Not bother with the rest of that stuff.
I'd like to talk to staff. Kyle,
Yes.
do we have jurisdiction on this?
In what regard?
Isn't this part of the sign ordinance? The sign ordinance is not part of the Historic District Commission?
This would be part of the Historic District Commission amending the sign that was approved for appropriateness. Are you asking if it should go right through zoning and not through the HDC?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not exactly sure on that. I was under the impression that it would have to come through the HDC at first because it is an historic building and it's a city exempt, so therefore I was under the impression that it would need HDC's approval to.
Pardon me.
It's a nice ringtone anyway.
When we discussed this originally,
Whatever calls me.
I think what we decided, or we were discussing, was the fact that electronic signs really are not under the old ordinance that we used to have. We weren't even considering electronic signs at that time. So I think what we decided when the Ramsdale first presented the possibility of an electronic sign was to treat every sign individually until we definitely made a more permanent sign ordinance. And I would suggest that we continue to do so and agree with Bill's suggestion that we approve this let it change every 30 seconds, if that's okay.
That's great. That's a huge improvement.
Do you?
I'll move then that we amend the prior approval for the sign for the Ramsdale Theater to sequence every 30 seconds instead of the 15 minutes that's required in the existing rules.
I'll second it.
Well, the problem I have with this is that it's okay for us to say this, but it looks to me like it probably still has to go through the zoning commission.
that they had to remain every 15 minutes. And that was part of a zoning problem in regards to, as like Lee was saying, historic district problem. That's what I remember hearing about in regards to electronic signage.
Okay.
But I don't know if that's the correct thing or not. I just had my 2 cents into it, whether that money's the waters, I apologize.
Oh, no, that's great. I wasn't,
Because what will stop somebody else, Good Shepherd, saying, hey, well, the Ramsdale's doing it now, why can't we do it?
I get,
Because we're in the district, or and they're not, or, you know,
I guess the reason would be that they are, would it be the government exemption that makes it okay in this point?
I don't know.
It's an interesting situation, kind of a muddy situation. I've never been a part of this in the sense of knowing exactly if it's HGC or through the zoning administration. So what do you suggest moving forward? Do you suggest I take it back to zoning and work through this within the office? Or do you suggest, what do you suggest?
Why don't we go ahead with the historical commission, getting it off of our plate? So
Okay.
saying we're okay with it and we've authorized it, but you have to verify whether or not that's sufficient, and there's another level of approval to be obtained.
Sounds good.
I think it'd be very good to get back with the Ramsdale, so we don't leave them hanging as far as what type of approval they need.
Definitely.
But I would agree with Bill.
Again, what we're doing is we're not going with the government exemption, we're just saying the sign's okay for every 30 seconds.
You want to restate your motion?
My motion is that we amend the prior approval for the Ramsdale sign to allow it to be sequencing every 30 seconds instead of the required 15 minutes per the rule that was applied prior.
You second that?
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded that we amend the prior certificate of appropriateness for the sign to allow the sign to change every 30 seconds. Any more discussion?
I have a clarifying question, if I may. Are we, Kyle, can you correct me if I'm wrong, are we exploring what the government agency exemption means if we were to move forward with that?
I'm thinking that's what the situation is indicative of.
Okay, because my only thing is, 20, 30 years from now, if this comes back, and they're pushing again for government exemption for, reasons of maybe having more flexibility than the 30 seconds. I mean, I don't really see the need for that, because I want to be respectful of the concerns of traffic and distractions and all that, but I don't want to create more work for the HCC or for the zoning. So I just want to make sure, are we moving forward in the best way that's streamlined?
That's a good question. I guess my question is, what's the benefit of changing every 30 seconds? Is there a message that needs to come across in that amount of time?
Well, there are more chances that more drivers will see the ads that are being displayed versus, the traffic here, rush hour traffic in Manistee is probably less than 15 minutes. So everybody sees one ad.
Okay.
And so the benefit of that is that, we'll get more of the ads at the Ramsdale shown. And so there's more of a likelihood people will react and see that there's, business at the Ramsdale. It's all about perceptions. And, it was an investment, it was a big investment that, we want to try and maximize as much as possible. And 15 minutes is just not cutting it.
No, if you're going to 15 minutes, you might as well have a permanent sign.
Right.
But
That's
the motion I made is to not authorize the government exemption.
right.
Is to only deal with the sequencing time. And I personally, I don't know why we would want to authorize a government exemption, because there's a whole bunch of stuff on here. Several are non-significant, but a couple, I don't know if we really want to have flags of 24 square feet authorized, you know.
Oh, right.
And there's another one that
Okay.
says that public notice, traffic control or warning required by a valid and applicable federal, state, or local ordinance. I'm not sure we want public notices posted there either.
Right.
I'd rather keep control of that and just deal with the problem you're facing now and get that approved.
Okay,
All right.
that's fine with me.
It's my opinion that it's inappropriate for us to do this, that this is something that should be handled by the zoning board under the sign ordinance, which we have no control over. What I would suggest is that we simply pass a motion saying that we have no objection to changing the frequency with which the sign changes. I mean, we can say it changes every 30 seconds, and if the zoning board says we're not gonna go along with that, that's a safety hazard, we only want it to do every 5 minutes, then what's the scopes? On the other hand, I don't think once we said it's okay to have an electronic sign, I think that's where it ends with us.
I'd be glad to amend my motion to say that we have no objection, and if the planning commission has jurisdiction, they can make the decision. Is that what you want me to say?
Yeah, that's what I think is appropriate.
I don't have a problem with that, except that the planning commission had no, they didn't approve the original sign, did they? I think it went to us.
Yeah.
So I don't think the planning commission was ever involved in the approval of the original sign.
Well, because they don't say anything about historic district.
Well, if we go with what I just said, that takes care of it either way, doesn't it? If the planning commission cares, great, let them deal with it. If they don't, it's done.
Do you second that?
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that the Historic District Commission has no objection to changing the frequency with which that electronic sign changes.
That's fine.
All in favor?
Aye.
For 30 seconds.
Aye. Okay.
Get the 30 seconds in there.
I got it.
Aye.
Well,
Thank you.
is a staff member then going to coordinate this with the
Yeah.
zoning commission, so we don't leave the Ramsdale hanging
Yeah.
out there in the?
Definitely.
Okay.
Thanks, Xavier.
All right, where are we now? Status of officers, I think everyone has gotten a message that Mark Whitloff has resigned. He says that he does not think that he would be able to participate fully because of job conflicts. So, thanks, Mark, for your short jurisdiction. All right, scheduled meeting times.
There was, second piece of that was update on recruiting. Do you know if anybody has come forth, or?
No one's come forward to our department. Has anyone come forward to any of the members on HGC?
I had a guy come up to me who said he was interested. I told him how to apply, and not seen him since. His name was Ron Helmbold.
Okay.
Okay, scheduled meeting times for 2019. Suggested that we change the meeting day to Wednesday.
I sent out a doodle poll, and a couple of the members responded with Wednesday, either at 3 or 4 or 5 p.m. would work best. Does anyone have any objection to changing it, Dick? I know you were saying something about it. Does that day work for you?
Who are you asking?
Oh, I was asking Mr. Albee.
What's that?
Does Wednesday?
Any objection to changing the time of the meeting to
No.
Wednesday at 4 p.m.?
No.
Can we have a motion to that effect?
Just as a note, I will miss 2 of the next 4 meetings if it's moved to Wednesday. But I don't care otherwise.
Only if it moves to Wednesday?
No, it wouldn't matter in September, actually, because I'm gonna be gone that whole week. That's good. This is good.
Does that work for you, Mark, too?
Yeah, I also move that we change it to the first Wednesday of every month at 3 o'clock, is that right? Is that what you want, or 4?
Can I ask a question? Why do we care now? Aaron was one that had the conflict. Do you have a conflict, Lee? Do you
I don't have a conflict, but Aaron's still on the board.
That's
Mark has a conflict, the museum cure.
Like
Was
with
Mark.
Mondays.
Okay.
So Wednesday at 4 PM or 3 PM works best.
I go Wednesday at 4.
Does that work for everyone else?
Want to second that?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we change the meeting day to the first Wednesday at 4 PM.
All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Permit review.
Well, is this where we're doing the mural presentation here first?
Okay.
Okay.
Well, hi. Thank you for having me here and including me in the agenda. I did send an email to all of you last week just to kind of keep you in the loop of where I'm at with this project, because I want to make sure that I get your feedback as I move through. If there's any suggestions from you or anything that I'm missing, I want to make sure we do it jointly, so I don't end up doing something incorrectly or inappropriately. So last time I was here, I presented to you all the idea and you guys were receptive, as long as I had a location and a maintenance plan and also kind of an overview of what is going to be painted in these locations. So the 2 locations are the ones in the flyer. So the first one that you can see is the Ann's Bookshop. It's right across from the Vogue Theater, and it's nothing really in the actual building. The murals would go in their brown boarded up windows. So that would be the location number 1. And then the location number 2, it's the 61 Filer Street, so that's right in front of the Briney Building. There's already a yellow square painted space in there. What we would do is just paint something over it. Both of the property owners are on board with it, as long as, of course, they are part of whatever it's going to be painted in there. So this is the flyer I threw out there right at the same date. I emailed you all to kind of get local artists interested, that were interested in painting the murals. I attended the Ramsell art exhibit on Saturday to try to see who can we network from our area also that would be interested in doing it. One of the property owners is so interested in the project that they were, ready to donate the paint. So I guess that at this point, I am just ready to wait what will be painted in there, discuss it with the property owners, and then talk to either the DDA or the city to see how will they commit to maintaining it over time. Overall, I just wanted to let you know where I was, especially because it was going to go in the newspaper, so none of you are out of the loop on the reason why there was an article out there. And then, since we have the paint, I'm really only hoping to get an artist to do it. I'm meeting with one of the board members from the Ramsdale on Wednesday, who is also a muralist, and he's going to present some ideas to discuss with the property owners, and then talk about, the maintenance, the cost, to get it more concrete. And then once I have that figured out, then I will come in front of you for you, to vote in the appropriateness of this. Besides keeping you in the loop, something was brought to my attention that I hadn't even thought of, which is getting the certificate of appropriateness for each one of the murals. And I had a question to you on whether it had to be, if I could submit it on behalf of the property owners, since I am the one really leading the project, or if it had to be from the property owners themselves. I'm really not sure how to go about that one.
Well, just to take this by a couple things. One is that the one that's on the window, I'm not sure that we really have any jurisdiction on that.
Okay.
We haven't commented on people who did window decorations. An example of that would be the old bookstore, the Music Vault, where they've put wraps around their windows. That doesn't concern the Historic District Commission. It doesn't seem like this one on these windows would either.
Those are all temporary, I think, yeah.
The other one on the Manistee Tire Building, I mean, That seems entirely appropriate to me. I mean, do you see any problem with either of these
No,
projects?
none at all, but is that a technical question as to who?
Who actually applies?
Yeah, is
I'm
it-
pretty sure that the building owner would have to apply. Do you know about that, Nancy, or no? Mark, do you know about that?
No, that's a good question. I'm not.
Because there's two parts of the application that says building owner information and then applicant information. So you might want to get both of, like, the okay from the building owner and getting their information on the certificate of appropriateness, and then you as the applicant on there as well.
Because, I mean, if Project Rising Tide was the applicant, Lizette's not gonna be here in 6 months. Who would, if we had a problem with this, who would be the person to go to? Would be the building, would be the property.
Right.
You know, if there was a problem, if there was paint got, you know, if somebody went up there with some spray paint and, you know, blacked it all out, I mean, Lizette's gone in 6 months, I mean, who's gonna be the one who's gonna have to take care of that?
Sure, that's a good point.
Couldn't Lisette just get a note from the property owner stating that she is representing the property owner on this particular item? That she's got the authorization to
Yeah, I
make a
got both of
presentation on
their,
his behalf?
yeah, I got both written emails and authorization from them say that they
Yeah.
are totally on board and okay, but
It's just like a matter, like he said, though, if, when you leave, who would be the next person to take up the, you know, appropriateness, or who would maintain it, or things like that? So would that be through the building owner then, or?
I guess. I mean,
So,
Unless the DDA wanted to take it on.
that could be another one. But I can present it to them because I either way have to go to the DDA to talk about maintenance or to the city either way, so.
You
Yes.
know, projects sometimes take a long time, and
Yeah.
I know your job is temporary here.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably a good possibility that by the time things get organized, you're getting ready to leave, so it might be a problem. Might be better to get somebody like the DDA.
Okay.
As far as the Historic District Commission goes, we don't care.
Yeah.
As long as you've got, there's somebody who looks like they're appropriate who applies, and
yeah.
Exciting,
building owners say it's okay, and, you know, you don't get arrested for tagging or something.
Okay, cool.
No, I can't wait to see it. I think it's exciting.
I am really excited too. When I went to the Ramsdale on Saturday, I did, you know, talk to some artists, and many people were concerned, you know, about the cost, or like, oh, you know, we gotta get paid. I'm like, well, I would love to have a lot of funding, but I don't, but we can figure it out. So I'm sure something will come along. And I also want to make sure it's something that looks neat and clean and, you know, gives a vibrant image to the community, which is the whole point of this. So I'll be around and show you what I got or what I received, and we can work jointly. Because I also, you know, want to make sure it's something that resonates with everything else. So, okay. I just wanted to keep you in the loop and get your feedback as things go along.
Thank you for
so.
keeping us updated.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank
can-
you for having me.
We can work together too, through your application process. If you have
Okay.
any questions, I'll be your point person. And if you need my contact information, I have some here.
I have it. Thank
Okay,
you,
good.
Kyle.
Great. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, moving on. Brown paper window coverings replaced as stipulated to recent permit extension. Tell the truth, I haven't looked.
Oh, yeah, that was Jeff Gordon's project. I think it was either 347 or 349. I saw it 2 weeks back and it wasn't done. I emailed him and he promptly fixed it and was very hospitable and approachable, which is a nice sign. And the new paper looks great.
What?
Good.
I think it looks awful.
Oh, it's better than the old
I
paper.
mean, well, it's better than the old paper for
And-
sure, and the new paper's fallen down already.
Oh, is it?
There's one side has come down maybe 3/4 or 2/3 of the way down,
Okay.
and needs to be pasted back up there. He didn't bring it all the way to the top. It's got about maybe a 2 foot short of filling the whole space in, which I think that's all right. It still looks really scruffy, in my opinion. It's a lot better than it was, but it looks really scruffy.
Do you suggest I go to him and tell him to fix the last 2 feet and things like that, or what is?
Yeah.
I think you ought to tell him to glue the back up, the part that's fallen down, it needs to.
Okay.
But I don't know about that 2 feet, I don't care about that, it's detail, I guess. But it's, maybe if you've got a good relationship, you can talk him into putting something that looks nice up there.
Or just do the-
Nicer.
Yeah, right. All right.
I do have a quick comment on.
I think the paper he put up there is just as old as the paper that was up there. It's
That's
just-
ugly brown paper.
I do have a quick comment on both of Mr. Gordon's properties. I don't know if any of you have walked by them in the last week, but there are letters from the chief of police indicating that there are blight and that he has 7 days to correct said blight before further actions are done. Those letters were put on both doors, May 29th. So if you walk by them, I don't know, I was confused because I thought that,
They said, the chief of police, I talked to the city manager and he said that unless their application was approved by us
Okay.
the last time,
uh,
that they were gonna put them under a blight ordinance.
okay,
But as long as they had this thing approved, they were all right, so he should be fine.
okay.
But he's only approved through the time that this application,
June
yeah,
30th for the two buildings and then November 30th for the other building.
that's correct.
I think it was September 30th for the two buildings, not June 30th.
Okay.
It was September 30th, I think, and then November 30th for the other one.
That's correct.
So I extended that permit and I mailed it out to him as a copy. I guess I'll contact the chief of police
Yeah,
about,
or maybe just take a walk down to the building or take a drive past.
Okay.
To read it, so it's in its full verbiage, so you know exactly what it says, but I was confused about it because I thought we had given him a couple of months rather than just
Yeah.
a week.
yeah.
Couple weeks, so.
I'll look into that after this. Thank you.
It is worrisome, though, that we asked him in 2 weeks to have that replaced, and it was a lot more than 2 weeks, it's more like almost 4,
The paper, you mean?
the paper.
Yeah, that's should be a next day thing in my opinion. I mean, if it takes, never mind.
Makes you worry about the other deadlines you've given him.
Maybe we should be more specific in terms of those kinds of things.
I think we were very specific with him last time, that if these aren't done by the time these are.
This is the
he's not gonna
final.
get any more approvals.
This is the final permit extension. It was made pretty clear, and as well as what I mailed him out in bold capital letters, final, so he knows. It's been over 8 years, I mean,
All right, do we have any action to take on this item?
no.
Bill? Dick?
No.
Moving on to 338 River Street, repair of east brick wall at 338 River Street has been completed. The stipulation on the permit. Permit is ready to be closed out. Can we have a motion to that effect?
So moved?
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to close the 338 River Street project. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 337 River Street,
Can somebody identify that property for me? I couldn't, which property is 337? Is that the music vault?
No, it's on the other side of the street. I can look it up on a Google map for you if you want. Let me think how to.
Is that Maxine Lipton's
Yeah.
place? Yeah, that's the former H&K Electric.
Oh, the electric, okay,
Yeah, the former
yeah.
H&K
All right,
Electric.
okay.
The big windows in front.
Yeah, and they've got a bunch of junk in there, and
Yeah.
it's looking pretty bad.
All right.
She made the addition.
Yeah.
Or the knockdown that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark.
So there are 5 open permits currently on this property. A couple that she has applied for. The first one, PHDC 18-001. She applied for and has completed. The ones that I've listed here on the agenda are completed. Some were from the previous applicant and some were from the current applicant. There is one permit that I've added to the packet that is still open. That being said, the previous applicant applied for this certificate of appropriateness, was granted it, and the work before selling it to the current owner had not been completed. Does that make sense? So there's an open permit from a previous applicant with many things incomplete that is still open, and I wanted to bring it to the HDC in the sense of, I talked with the current owner about it, and she said she wasn't sure if the exact measures that were being taken from the previous owner will be taken by her, and I invited her to the meeting to kind of talk about it, though she couldn't attend this meeting. I'm curious if the HDC would like to expire this permit, if you will, and ask her to apply for another one so that we're under the same guise as to what exactly is happening, and the applicant get the work done in a timely manner.
When does it expire now?
This current, it already expired is the thing, so it's expired, so I either have to close it out not being done or null and void the permit and eliminate it. So it expired in 2017, it's still on the record of her property, therefore I'm bringing it to the commission to see what the next probable step should be.
Well, I would, it's expired, it's over. So if she wants to have it renewed, she can,
Okay, so the work she's doing in her property now doesn't have a permit for it, is what I'm saying. So she's doing work that has already been completed and approved in the past, but she's also doing work currently that doesn't have a permit for it. So do you suggest that I go to her and have her apply for what she's doing for appropriateness currently? Because she's doing some of the steps on this old permit, but not fully the old permit. So do you suggest that she applies for a new certificate of appropriateness then?
is she doing anything that wasn't in the prior expired certificate?
I'm not exactly 100% positive of what she's doing and what she's not doing in that sense, so I can't be certain if there is or not.
So are these 4 to be closed out? They've
Yeah.
been completed?
Yeah, the 4 are to be closed out.
So can we close those out and just not let this, the 16-002 expire?
It's
I
already
guess,
expired.
Yeah.
okay, so that being said, it shouldn't be extended because she's not doing those things in the expired permit, and that it should just expire and that's it. So I'll close out the 4 and then expire the 16002 and suggest that she applies for the things she is doing.
Right.
Reapply.
Closing out 16002, it expired.
Okay. They all have they've all mostly expired, that's the thing. So I would be closing them out, the permits, so they wouldn't be,
I think that it's appropriate, what we should do is close the first 4 and just note that 002 is expired and she needs to reapply.
Right.
okay.
We have a motion to that effect?
I would move to that effect.
Okay.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we close the items 003, 004, 005, and 015, and simply notify her that 002 has expired, and if the work not completed, she needs to reapply.
Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Moving along, where are we?
Public comments?
We. That's the agenda.
Public comments and communications concerning items not on the agenda. We got 3 publics here.
Maybe just as a point of clarification, the design committee did send a letter to the city listing lighted buildings that we had identified. And then in another paragraph, we did say of concern, and then we listed the most area buildings, and then specifically stated that they had had an extension. And there would be no further extension after October, whatever. So I don't know what precipitated them getting this.
Yeah, you'll have to go by and take a look at the letter on, they've been up there since last Wednesday, yeah, just to see exactly what is.
I haven't seen that list of blighted structures, I'd like to.
Well, and I will send everybody a copy, so you have it too.
Okay.
We were remiss in.
Any more comments? Any reports?
I'd like to say thank you for my first meeting, and I'd like to accept any feedback from anyone after the meeting for any meetings moving forward. That's my report. This is my first meeting alone as the zoning administrator, And it's been an interesting transition. I just appreciate you, you know, taking the time and being receptive to that. So if you have any constructive or any criticism at all, I'd be welcome to it after the meeting or now.
It's not a criticism, but we had talked maybe 3 meetings ago about having this summary each month of the projects outstanding. And I think we got it once, maybe twice. I don't see it this time, but it's very helpful if we could have that. To me, it's very helpful to have that 1-page summary of the open projects and their status. I think we had like 4 or 5 columns, Lee.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I had that, and I put it in my own terms, in my own words of kind of outlining the extent of the current projects that we needed to close out. I didn't lead any. There was about 2 or 3 others in the spreadsheet that are still being worked on, but I'll provide that next time.
Okay, thank you.
And so a status of those as well as which ones are open and what's the status, whether they're being worked on or not worked on or whatever. Great.
All right. Thank you.
Any more reports from staff?
I just have a quick comment to add. A couple weeks ago, a couple meetings ago, I mentioned about the banners for the DDA that are hanging in the district, and that's something that did not need approval from the HDC, but I just wanted to say that I think they look pretty nice. And Lee, we got your Byron M. Cutchin one. We don't have a statue just yet, so hopefully you can will us a ton of money so we can make that at some point in time. But we do have a banner of him, and I thought you would probably appreciate that. So I think they look pretty nice. I've had several compliments from out-of-towners and a couple local people stop in the museum and just mention that they think they look great, and they're a great way to promote the history of our community as well as our community in general, and give the district a little extra pizzazz. I think that it kind of needs some time, so I just wanted to mention
Well,
that.
I'd like to add that I'm still working on the Byron M. Cutchin statue. I've talked about it with the University of Michigan Alumni Club since he was.
That would be neat, yeah.
I'm a regent. You know, if we can just keep working on it. I also think that there are some of his descendants that are still living in Michigan. And it
That would be an
kind of
interesting avenue to.
see whether any of those might be interested in cooperating on a project on their historic ancestor.
That would be a neat idea. For now, a banner we'll have to do, but I guess we'll continue how that goes along. I just wanted to mention that, so I think it looked really nice.
Thank you. Member discussion.
The only thing I have, Lee, I think it might be good if you could talk with the city manager or the mayor and see if we can get rolling some applications for openings. I don't see any advertisements in the paper for the positions or anything, so I don't know what efforts are being made to fill the positions.
Probably 2 weeks ago, there was an advertisement in the paper.
Was there? Okay.
I don't think we have a budget, do we?
I don't think so, do you? The paper advertised 3 vacancies, though. So we need to look into that, though, because if the board, we should consider the board, you know, being officially a 5-person board or something in that regard, don't you think?
Do we control our own bylaws? Can we amend them ourselves to be 5 instead of 7?
I think so, yeah.
That has to be passed by the city council.
That's what I thought.
Does it? Okay.
I mean, we could do that and recommend to the city council that they change it.
Do you want to make that recommendation?
Okay, is that a motion or just recommendation?
Well, I think that requires a motion of the
Okay.
board.
I'll make a motion that the Historical Commission recommends that the membership be decreased from 7 to 5 members.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded that the Historic District Commission ask the city council to change the bylaws to reflect a 5-member commission rather than a 7-member commission. Is that right?
Mhm.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
Heard that